Hi, Abigail here, and today I wanted to talk to you a little bit about why you should not be singing from your diaphragm. So this is something that I see a lot. People say that you should sing from your diaphragm, and I don't really like that phrasing. I understand what they're trying to say, and the basic idea is mostly correct. You should be engaging the diaphragm when you're breathing, and that's part of breathing in a healthy way for singing. So just to explain a little bit first what the diaphragm is and where it's located. The diaphragm is a muscle, and it's located in between your lungs and the rest of your organs, stomach, liver, intestines, all that stuff. So the diaphragm is shaped like an upside down bowl, kind of like this, and it's located around the bottom of the rib cage. So when you breathe in, what happens is the diaphragm contracts, and that flattens out, and that pulls air down into your lungs. So the diaphragm is only really active when you're inhaling, and we don't really feel the diaphragm working. So I don't focus on it a lot in my teaching because I don't really find that helpful. What I do find helpful is thinking about relaxing the abdominal muscles, because as that diaphragm moves down, it's going to push on your other internal organs, and they need to go someplace. So if your abs are really sucked in, there's not going to be as much room for expansion. And the reason that's important is that you want to be able to get the air all the way down into the lowest parts of your lungs. That's going to really help support your singing. If you don't get that low expansion, you're going to be breathing more up here, right? And that's not good for singing. So the diaphragm is active when you're inhaling, but once you're singing, the diaphragm's not doing anything at that point. I think what gets confusing is we do want to keep some of this inhaling feeling as you're singing, because that slows down the airflow. So if you keep the feeling of an inhale while you're exhaling, is the way some people explain it, that slows down the air. That also is confusing terminology. So really what you're doing is keeping the rib cage expanded and not letting it collapse too quickly. And that is not really related to the diaphragm, but sometimes it all gets lumped together. So when people say sing with the diaphragm, really they're meaning to breathe low into your body and use the different muscles to balance the airflow. But one thing that a lot of singers interpret this to mean, and this is why I don't like to say it this way, is that singers think that they need to be squeezing in their stomach muscles when they sing. They think that the diaphragm is in the stomach, and that when people say sing from the diaphragm, that means you need to squeeze in your abs when you sing to really squeeze the air out. And that's actually dangerous. I've talked before in some of my other videos about using too much air when you sing and how that's a really common way for the voice to get tired. So as you're singing, your vocal cords are vibrating and the air is passing through. If you have more air pressure passing through, it takes more force for the vocal cords or vocal folds to vibrate, and they're going to get tired faster, and they're also going to be more prone to injury because they're hitting together more forcefully instead of just a gentle vibration. So too much air pressure is really not good for your voice and can cause to injury or just bad habits or fatigue. So if you have been squeezing in your stomach to squeeze the air out because you think that's what you're supposed to do, don't worry, it's really common. I did that for a long time too, and I couldn't figure out why I just kept getting more tired. I thought I needed to support more, and I didn't realize that I had support all confused. It's not squeezing out the air, it's slowing down the air. So I hope that's helpful to kind of clear some of this up. Voice technique, terminology, and all of this, it gets really confusing because for hundreds of years people were singing and people were teaching singers without having the science and the technology to really know what was going on. So teachers used a lot of imagery and just kind of guessing at what was happening. So there's a lot of ideas out there that are based in that time before we had the science to really be accurate. But I firmly believe that now, since we have so much technology and science to be able to tell what's actually happening in our bodies, I think it's really important to teach singing from that fact-based and science-based perspective. So that's why I don't ever tell my students to sing from the diaphragm. We talk about the diaphragm occasionally, but I never say the phrase sing from your diaphragm. There's other really common things that I never say. I never talk about placing the tone. That's another conversation, but that's something else that's based more in the tradition and not in science. So I hope that was helpful. If you have any questions, let me know. Check out my other videos for more tips, and happy singing. Thanks for watching. Bye.